Very good morning, students. In today's session, I will explain the concept of constructor overloading in C++. In our last class, we learned about constructor. What is a constructor? A constructor is a special member function which is used to initialize an object. So a constructor automatically initializes the object. So the constructor is automatically invoked when the moment the objects are created. We learned about the characteristics of constructor. Some of the salient characteristics of a constructor are: constructor has the same name as class name. Constructor can accept argument but does not return any value. A constructor function is automatically invoked. You can't call a constructor like other member function, because we know that in order to call any other member function in C++, the syntax is you can call it with through some object. So object name dot the function name. But a constructor function is automatically executed when the moment the objects are created. And different types of constructors available in C++ are: default constructor. Any constructor without any argument, we call it as a default constructor. Parameterized constructor. Constructor with at least one argument, we call it a parameterized constructor. So some of the other types of constructors are copy constructor. A copy constructor is used to copy the data of one object to another object. Anyway, I'm going to explain the concept of copy constructor in my next session. In today's section, I will introduce the concept of constructor overloading and also illustrate how constructors are overloaded in C++ with some simple example program. At the end of today's session, you will be in a position to understand why we need constructor overloading. What is the purpose of overloading constructor, and how constructor overloading is done in C++ through some simple example programs. What do you mean by function overloading? The concept of function overloading you have already learned in your previous sessions. A function overloading is a concept in C++ where we can have multiple functions with the same name differing in the number of argument or the data type of the argument and performing different tasks. A constructor is also a special member function only. So the privileges available for other member functions is available for constructor also. So the concept of constructor overloading is having set of constructor performing different tasks which vary in the number of argument or the data type of the argument. We call it a constructor overloading. So just similar to other member functions in C++, a constructor also can be overloaded. So in the same program, we can have a set of constructor performing different tasks. So set of constructors which differ in either the number of argument or the data type of the argument and performing different tasks are called as overloaded constructor, and the concept we call it as constructor overloading. Then why we need constructor overloading? What are the benefits or what are the advantages of overloading constructor? Constructor overloading is used to create copy constructor. The concept of copy constructor, anyway, in detail I explain in my next session. Generally, copy constructor is one where the data of one object can be copied into another object without using any assignment operator. And another main uses of constructor overloading is dynamic initialization of arrays. So you can initialize an array using constructor overloading. That concept also will explain with a simple example program in my next session. Now I will illustrate the concept of constructor overloading with some simple example programs. But generally, you should remember that in constructor overloading, in the same program, you should have more than one constructor which vary in either the data type of the argument or the number of argument. Class data. So our name of the class is data, and the class data includes two private data member A and B of integer type, which are declared under the private access specifier. The first function is under the public function, we declare the functions one by one. Public colon data. So here no return type, and it has the same name of the class is also data, name of the function is also data, no argument. So this is an example for what? This is an example for default constructor. Constructor without any argument, we call it a default constructor. And constructor does not return any value, including void. Void also we are not supposed to write it for constructor. What I will do here, I will initialize the two member data A and B with the values 10 and 20. So that is the purpose of the first constructor. First constructor is to initialize the member data A and B to the values 10 and 20 respectively. Next, you write one more constructor. So again, the second constructor also has the same name as the class name. What the name of the class? Data. And you pass one parameter called x of integer type. So in the second constructor, what I will do is the whatever value you are passing as an parameter argument, that will assign it to both A and B. So A also becomes 10 and B also becomes 20. A is also equal to x and B is also equal to x. X is the value you are passing as an argument. So whatever value you are passing as a parameter value, that is assigned to both A and B. In the first case, you are not passing any parameter, and A and B are initialized to the value 10 and 20 respectively. In the second constructor, I will pass one argument. That argument value you assign it to both A and B. So now we have written two constructors. The first one is an example for default constructor. Second one is an example for a constructor with one argument. I will take the third constructor. Again, the name of the constructor is data only. Instead of one parameter, now I will pass two parameters, int x comma int y. So what I will do is x value is assigned to A and y value is assigned to B. In the previous example, I am passing only one parameter called x. Same value is assigned to both A and B. Here, I will pass two different parameters. The first parametric value will be assigned to A. The second parametric value will be assigned to B. So now we'll write a function called display to display the values of the two member data A and B. A equal to A, B equal to B. Close the display function, close the class. So when you look at this example, you can observe that in this program, I'm using how many constructor? I'm using 3 constructor and one member function. The member function name is display, and the 3 constructors are data without any parameter, data with one parameter, data with 2 parameters. Now we'll start the main function. Data D1. So in the moment the object is created, automatically constructor is invoked. In the case of first object D1, no parameter is there. So in that case, for the object D1, the constructor without any parameter is executed. So which constructor is executed? The first constructor is executed because the first constructor does not have any argument. So in that case, A is also 10, A becomes 10, and B becomes A and B are initialized to the value 10 and 20. Now for the object D1, what happens is D1.A equal to 10 and D1.B equal to 20. For the first object, the two member data A and B are initialized to the value 10 and 20. Because for the first object, since no arguments are there, the default constructor is executed. Comma D2 within the parenthesis 50. So there you are creating the object called D2. And the moment object is created, automatically constructor is invoked. That is the main characteristics of a constructor. Constructor, you cannot call it. It was automatically executed. So here what happens is, at the time of creating the object called D2, the constructor is executed. Which constructor executed? In this example, we have 3 constructors. One without argument, one with one argument, one with 2 argument. Since we are passing only one parameter, the second constructor is executed. Now what happens is, for the object D2, A value becomes how much? 50. And the same value is assigned to B also. So B also becomes 50. So now for the first constructor, D1.A equal to 10, D1.B equals to 20. For the second object, D2.A equal to 50 and D2.B also equal to 50. For the third one, D3, 100, 200. So there you are creating the object D3. So at that time, automatically a suitable constructor is executed. Since we are passing 2 parameters, the constructor with 2 arguments is executed. So in that case, it will go to the constructor data int x, int y. So now what happens is x value is 100, y value is 200. So A equal to 100 and B equal to 200. Now we can observe that for the first object D1, D1.A equal to how much? 10, D1.B equal to 20. For the second object, D2.A equal to 50, D2.B also equal to 50. For the third object, D3.A equal to 100 and D3.B equal to 200. Now you call the display function with D1 separately, with D2 separately, and D3 separately. When you call the D1.display function, what happens is the A and B values of the object D1 are printed. So what is printed? 10, 20. When you call the display function is D2, what is printed? A equal to 50, B equal to 50. When you call the display function with D3, what happens is A value will be printed as 100 and B value is printed as 200. So in this example, I have using three constructor: data without any argument, data with one argument int x, and data is two argument int x comma y. So the purpose of the first constructor is to give some initial value to the member data A and B. The purpose of second constructor is to assign the value passed as a parameter to both the member data. The purpose of the constructor, third constructor, is to assign the first parameter passed to the first data member and the second parameter passed to the second data member. So now we have a set of constructor performing different tasks which vary in what here in this example, the three constructor vary in the number of arguments. First constructor has no argument, second constructor has one argument, and the third constructor has two arguments. So this is the simplest program illustrating the concept of constructor overloading. To make the idea much more clear, I will take one more example. Class data. So in this example, what happens is I'm taking a class called data. No private data is here, no problem, because there is no rule that data member and function member should be there in every class. Some class can have both, some class can have only one, but both are permitted. So here in this example, the function, the class name is data with no private data member. I'll start with the functions one by one. Public data, because the class name is also data, function name is also data, means here the data is considered as a constructor. Pass two parameters, int x comma int y. What the purpose of the first constructor is to find the sum of the two numbers you are sending as a parameter. So sum equal to x plus y. So there only are the value are added together and displayed. So the output will be sum equal to the parameter value addition and display. Now you write the second constructor where you are passing three parameter x, y, z. So the purpose of this constructor is to find the area of the triangle, because we know that there is a formula to find the area of the triangle, root of s into s minus a plus s into root of s into s minus a into s minus b into s minus c. What is s? S is the semi-perimeter. So what is the perimeter of a triangle? A plus b plus c, half of that. So a plus b plus c by 2. In this case, instead of a, b, c, we are having x by z. So float s equal to a plus b, x plus y plus z by 2. Then float area equal to square root of s into s minus a into s minus b into s minus c, and display see out area of the triangle equal to the value of area. Next, you write one more constructor with one parameter called x. The purpose of that function is to find the square of the given number. So square of the given number equal to x into x. So in this example, why I have not declared any private data here? Because within each constructor, I'm displaying the result also. So there is no need to take extra data member. So in this example, the class name is what? The class name is data. How many constructor? Three constructor. First constructor data has two parameter. The purpose of the first constructor is to find the sum of two numbers. The second constructor has three parameter. The purpose is to find the three parameter represent the length of the three sides of the triangle, and the purpose of that constructor is to find the area of the triangle. And the third constructor has only one parameter, that is to display the square of the given number. Now we will see how which constructor is executed for which object. Void main data d1 with the parameter you are giving 5. Now which constructor is executed? Here in this example, since for the object d1 only one parameter is executed, it will execute the last constructor. It will display square of the given number equal to 5 into 5, 25, because you are passing 5 as a parameter, that will be assigned to x. Next, comma d2 6 commas 2. So when the moment object d2 is created, automatically constructor with two parameters executed, which is a constructor with two parameter. The first constructor, it will display sum equal to 6 plus 8. How much? 8. Sum equal to 8. For the third object d3, since you are passing three parameter 2, 3, 4, then for this object, this constructor is executed. So in that case, x value will be 2, y value will be 3 and z value will be 4. So x plus y plus z, 2 plus 3 plus 4, 2 plus 3, 5 plus 4, 9 by 2, it becomes 4.5. Then calculate the area using the formula root of s into s minus a into s minus b into s minus c and display area of the triangle equal to area. Here also I have used three constructor. The purpose is entirely different. So here what happens is the constructor differ in what? The number of argument and also their purpose. The first constructor, what it will do? The first constructor perform the addition of two number. Second constructor calculate the area of the triangle. Third constructor find the square of the given number. Whereas in the earlier example, here the purpose of first constructor is to assign some default value to the two private data member A and B. Second constructor is to assign the parametric value to both the data member, and the purpose of third constructor is to assign the first parametric value to the first data member, second parametric value to the second data member. So these two examples clearly explain the concept of constructor overloading. Now we'll take one more example illustrating constructor overloading. Here the class name is big. Class big. The three member data are A, B, and the variable called large. All of them are declared under the access specifier private. Now, here intentionally I have used a special type of constructor. Public colon big, open the parenthesis, close it, just open the brace, close the brace. No statement is there. Then what is the purpose of that constructor? It will not do any computation. It will not display any message. Whenever if you write a constructor like this, automatically the purpose is it will allocate the memory required for the object. Otherwise, purpose in the previous example, we have some specific purpose. One is to find the square of the given number, one is for find the sum of two number, in the third case, find the largest of three number, etc. But here, the constructor will not do any task. But what is the purpose of a constructor? The main objective of a constructor is to initialize the object. That means to allocate the memory for the object. So that constructor is executed only when you create an object without any parameter. Suppose if you write big B, in that case, since you are not passing any parameter for that object, the first constructor is executed. So it will allocate the memory required for the object called B. Anyway, we will consider the example later. Public big, open the parenthesis, close it, open the brace, close it. The main purpose of such constructor without any statement inside it is to allocate the memory for the object. Next, you write the next constructor. Again, this constructor name is also big only. There you are passing two parameters, x comma y. What I will do is, so if x is greater than y, the value of x is assigned to large. If x value is less than y, the value of y is assigned to large. So the purpose of the constructor here is to find the determine the biggest among two numbers. So such an operator, it's called as conditional operator. Void display, cout, biggest equal to the value of the variable last. Now we'll see how which constructor is executed for which object. Big B1 10 comma 20. Which constructor is executed? Since you are passing parameter, the first constructor is not executed. Automatically it will execute the second constructor. 10 value is greater than 20. True or false? It is false. In that case, y value is 20. That is assigned to large. So now large value becomes 20. X value is how much? X value is how much? X value is 10. Y value is 20. And the biggest among 10 and 20 is assigned to large. Means large will become now 20. For the second one, B2 minus 23 comma 45. So here x value will, so minus 23 will be the value of x. 45 will be the value of y. Again, minus 23 greater than 45 is false. Again, 45 is assigned to large. So now you call the function display function with B1 separately. When you call the display function with B1, it displays the biggest among two number, because for B1, which are the two number 10 and 20, the biggest among those two is 20. So it will display biggest equal to 20. For the second object called B2, when you call the display function, because already the value of the large will be how much? 45. So it will display. When you call the B2 the display function, it will display 45. Because the constructor is automatically executed. You are not calling the data big function separately because it's a constructor. So in this session, I have explained three different programs illustrating the concept of constructor overloading. So this session also include again a revision of constructor. What is the purpose of constructor? Also, I have revised. In addition to that one, I have illustrated with three varieties of three different program the concept of overloading of constructor. So constructor overloading is a very, very important concept in C++ because this is a unique concept which is not there in your C language. So some of the review questions based on today's class are: what is constructor overloading? The basic definition is constructor overloading is a concept of using multiple constructor having the same name by which differ in what? The data type of the argument, number of the argument, and the purpose. What are the uses of constructor overloading? Constructor overloading helps in what? Initialization of an array and also copy constructor. Those two concepts I will explain it in my next session. Illustrate an example, constructor overloading. The examination, the question is like this. Then you can give any one example that I have discussed in today's class. To revise what we have studied in today's session, you take some simple, answer some simple multiple choice question. In constructor overloading, all the constructor will have same name, same number of argument, same data type of the argument, none of these. If you have the same number of argument and same data type of the argument, they are not overloaded at all. The correct answer is A, same name. Purpose of constructor without statement. Just open the brace and close it. If you don't write any statement inside that constructor, what is the purpose? It is used to initialize an object, invoke constructor, create object, none of this. Its just purpose is to initialize the object or allocate the memory for the object. A. In constructor overloading, while invoking constructor with argument, arguments are passed to one. Generally, we are passing the argument not to class. We are passing the object, all arguments always to object. Because only when the object is created, at the time only constructor is invoked. The correct answer is B. Advantage of constructor overloading. Where it is useful? It is useful in two places. One is initialization array and copy constructor. So and the correct answer is both A and B. Identify the incorrect statement. Constructor can be overloaded. True. Constructor overloading helps in copy constructor. True. Overloaded constructor differ in the return type. They differ in the return type. It is not enough to overload them. The correct answer is C. So in today's class, I will explain the concept of constructor overloading or how we can overload constructor in a C++ program with some different programming exercises. I will conclude today's session. Hope you have enjoyed today's session. For any of your doubt clarification, you can call me over that number or you can send your message to my mail ID or you can post your comment in the comment section of the Google class. So my sincere advice for you to watch the videos regularly, then only you will have an update of the C++ programming language.